One. Hello, welcome back to Kenny the Sports Guys podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Severo, and today we have a guest that lived a very extraordinary life full of triumph and tragedy. A fighter in every way possible, Mia St. John is a five-time world and international boxing champion who compiled 49 wins, 19 losses, and 19 knockouts during her career. In her first professional boxing match on February 14th, 1997, she knocked out her opponent, Angelica Villian, in 54 seconds, earning herself the nickname The Knockout. Talk about Valentine's Day gift. She rose to stardom but faced many hurdles after her career was over. She became a mental health speaker, speaking about her experiences with her mental health. Please welcome to the show Mia St. John and her daughter Paris St. John. Thank you both for being on the show today.
Thank you for having us. We look forward to speaking with you today.
All right. So the first question I have for Mia St. John is, how did your boxing career get started?
Well, I started at 6 years old in Taekwondo, and I competed until my 20s and until I turned pro in boxing. And I saw, it was the 90s, and I saw Christy Martin opening for Mike Tyson. And I told my manager, I want to switch to boxing, and I want to be on the undercards of Oscar De La Hoya, and I want to fight Christy Martin. I had a whole list of everything I wanted to happen.
So what was your mindset towards every match during your career?
My mindset was to win at all possible costs, whether you have to be willing to either die in the ring or take the life of another human being. You can't worry about what could happen. You just have to go in there with a warrior mindset and be willing to do anything to win. And it's a sad way of thinking, but that's boxing. It's a brutal,
it is.
Violent sport.
Yeah, it is. Boxing is a very brutal, violent sport, and if you don't have that mentality of, that killer's mentality, then you're not going to win in a boxing match, obviously.
Right.
So the next question I have is, who was your favorite opponent to face in the ring?
Christy Martin. Because that was my dream, to fight her, and I fought her twice. The first fight I lost, the second one I won, and won the WBC title, and that was like a dream come true, and she enabled that to happen.
So the next question I have is, obviously women's boxing is actually very big right now. Who is your favorite female boxer you're like watching right now?
Right now, I'd have to say, I think Clarissa Shields is probably the best technically. But there's so many of the women that I don't know. You have Amanda Serrano, you have Katie Taylor. There's so many of the new ones out there now that have evolved, that are now fighting like the men, which in my day we were very green. And so we didn't have the skill level that you see today.
And didn't Chris Cyborg start her boxing career? She's transferred.
Oh, and my daughter just
she did.
Me that Chris Cyborg is a dear friend of mine, and she just started boxing.
And we saw her pro debut, didn't we, into boxing?
Yeah, we did.
And she won. Didn't she knock?
Yeah, she knocked her out. and saw that live. And so I'm gonna have to say my favorite boxer is Chris Cyborg, and we wish her the best in her upcoming fights.
Yeah, Chris Cyborg is actually a really good boxer, but my favorite boxer right now is Amanda Serrano. I think she's one of the best female boxers on the planet. I would dare to say that she's one of the best boxers on the planet, actually. But Chris Cyborg is actually she's a beast in the ring.
Yeah.
So let's talk about mental health awareness month. So I really hate to say bring this up, but you have witnessed two unfathomable losses no human being should ever go through. You lost your husband, Christophe St. John, in 2019, and you lost his son, Julian, in 2014. May they rest in peace always. Julian passed away via suicide. Were there any warning signs that you witnessed before Julian's passing?
Yeah, both me and my daughter witnessed warning signs, which is why we had him in the hospital to begin with. He tried to commit suicide outside of the hospital, and so we put him in the hospital where we thought he would be safe, where they were supposed to take care of him, and unfortunately they neglected him and falsified the records, and that is exactly why they lost in court. But
Man.
through our fight, we were able to change a lot of the rules and regulations in these hospitals. And, you know, I fought my ass off just to get that to happen.
Yeah, actually, I feel like you fight your ass off. That means that the mental health, you're bringing awareness of something that is needs to be addressed in this country and the entire world, and I feel like that's needed right now in this country because there are a lot of like people out there that needs mental health, like help
Right.
on their mental health, and I just feel like, with people like you, that you help spreading the word and the awareness of mental health and how important it is.
Yeah, I'll let Paris address her father's passing.
Well, just to go back to my brother and I both grew up with our own mental health issues
Mm-hmm.
and throughout our whole lives. Julian was a little more severe, and there were signs from when we were young. And we also grew up with addiction and alcoholism. That was in the family, and that kind of got passed on. I'm thankful that my mom was sober for 30 years. She did relapse, which is a big part of her story. But for 30 years, for most of our childhood and as we were growing up, she was sober, but that didn't mean that my brother and I didn't have our own struggles. We did. So there were definitely signs all throughout our lives, and it just unfortunately escalated and got worse for Julian to the point that he did take his life.
Oh man, that's really such a tough story, honestly, because I like I actually have a few set of mental health issues as well, and honestly, it's just really, really unfortunate and just beyond sad that people have to, think that way, and yeah,
Yeah,
so
if I knew then what I know now, I would have done so many things differently to like help myself, but also help my brother, help my dad. And it's too late
exactly.
now, but it's not too late to do the best that I can in my life to take care of my mental health and to help other people too that are still struggling.
That's the only thing you got to do. I mean, you're here to create, like, to spread the awareness of mental health, and if you could just help one person, then you know that you've done your job about that particular situation. So, can you tell me about the Mia John Foundation?
The Mia St. John Foundation is for the homeless that are mentally ill. And right now we have a program at Roy's Behavioral Health in Palm Springs. And we help young adults that are suffering from mental illness, anywhere from depression, anxiety, to schizophrenia, to drug addiction, drug and alcohol addiction. and we teach boxing to them and fitness. And it gives my life so much meaning. And Paris comes with me every day that we teach, and it gives my life purpose.
Yeah, actually, I was checking out the foundation and on the website, and it's actually a really good foundation.
Yeah, I mean, it's been around for over a decade. She started it even before Julian, my brother, had passed away. And after he passed away, we continued doing it, but more specifically for people with mental illness and homelessness and what my brother went through. And we hope that it continues to grow. We have fundraisers for it every year to raise money, to raise awareness for mental health and what we're doing with our foundation. And we just hope it continues to grow.
And
The next question.
Go to stjohnfoundation.org to find out more information.
The next question I have is, can you give one piece of advice for someone who is struggling from mental health if they are listening to this episode?
I'll let you take that.
To get help as fast as you can and find something that works for you, find the medication that works for you, find the therapy that works for you, find your support system that works for you. And what else would you say?
I would say talk about it, because that's one of the things that I always wish my son would have done. He did talk to me about things he was experiencing, but to what extent I didn't know. I know the day he died, he was experiencing voices that were very negative. But I had no idea that he was contemplating suicide that day. So my advice is to reach out for help. That's what I do when I feel like I can't take another day of this. You know, I reach out to my doctor for help and I tell him I need help. This is what I'm feeling. So that would be my advice, to talk about it.
Pretty sound advice, actually. Recently you came out with a new book. Would you mind telling me about your book?
Yes, the book is called Fighting for My Life, and you can find it on Amazon. It was my memoirs about my life, my journey through boxing, through alcoholism, through the deaths of my son and his father, and my journey going forward and finding purpose in my life.
And that's actually a good read too. So where can people find you on social media?
Well, people can find me at Mia St. John Boxer. And Paris, where can they find you?
At Paris Nicole St. John on Instagram.
Okay. So this is actually the last of the questions. So I want to thank you guys both for the time, and thank you so much for the mental health advice, and hopefully a lot of people can hear this and they could get help that they desperately need. Well, that's the end of this episode. I want to thank Mia St. John for the time.
Thank
You
you
can check
so
out
much.
Yeah, no
Thank you.
problem. No problem. You can check out this episode on KennySportsGuy.com, Ken with 2 N's. You can follow me on social media on Twitter, Kenny_sports, Instagram, KennySportsGuy1, and TikTok at Kenny Sports Podcast. Until the next episode, please be well.
Thank you.